Probably 6:30 now, so I'll kick things off. First thing on the agenda is roll call of members. Fran, you want to start?
Fran McBrady.
Jean Fuller.
Mel Clark.
Alan Bellows. No old business on the agenda, so new business. We've got a nomination and election of officers, so any discussion?
I'd like to nominate Alan Bellows to be chairman of the Booth Bay Planning Board.
I would second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Jackson.
Okay. For vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Fran.
Okay, I'll second that. If elected, would you serve?
I will serve.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay. We also have a secretary generally who is responsible for basically taking the notes on the actual findings and things like that. Given that Mike's not here and we're going to have some new members coming on board, we could forego dealing with that until we have
Till next month, yeah.
until next month. I think that might be a good idea. I would like to get a volunteer to maybe do that tonight, though, if someone's willing.
Would that be Nell?
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, if we
thanks.
need to add anything on to it.
All right, thank you, Gene. Okay, moving on into the bulk of the agenda then. First application on the agenda is Coastal Maine Botanical Garden, represented by Lauren Stockwell, and I'm the lead reviewer. So, Lauren, would you like to just describe what the proposal is?
Yeah, it's again, it's for the Coastal Maine Botanical Garden, and it's pretty straightforward. They're proposing a pier.
I'm sorry, I have to recuse myself from this and I can't vote, so I just want to know what's gonna happen with 3. We can do that with 3.
Yeah.
If everybody
Yeah,
It has
I
to be
mean-
it has to be a unanimous
Okay, I
vote,
just
that's all.
wanted
Yeah,
to- Okay.
yeah.
Hoping that there won't be an
Yeah,
issue.
that's.
But
that would
I just
be an
wanted to-
issue.
yes,
Because, I
yeah.
mean, the board's shorthanded right now, and
And
since
by Jean's
Jean's
involved.
actually involved in the
Check his
business doing the work, so.
Okay, so the proposal is for a pier on their shorefront, and it's 273 feet to the north of Butter and 3,416 to the south of Butter. They have lots of buffer to their butters. There's going to be an access board ramp, which is in 2 parts, a 30 by 8 foot that's angled, and then a straight by 6 foot section that's going to connect to a 90-foot long pier, and for the first 78 feet, it will be 8 feet in width, and at the end it'll be a 12 by 12 foot platform, and the runway will be 40 by 4 feet, and it's going to land on 2 floats that are 12 by 20, and there will be an osprey platform south of it. Are there any questions? They've got their Army Corps of Engineers and their DEP permits and everything they need.
Mhm. And when I reviewed the application, I didn't have any questions or issues. Does other members of the board have any?
Selectmen have done Wobbs and Weirs on it, is that their visit?
They did the site visit last, I think it was Thursday, but the selectmen meet next Wednesday to
Okay.
vote on it. But, so they met on site, and they didn't have any issues that they expressed to me, and Dan was there. And
Peter Ripley came out later, and I have his letter stating that he sees no issues if anyone wants to see that.
And they also have their submerged lands leased because they have dolphins to support it and an osprey platform. So they've got all their other permits.
So we'd have to conditionally approve it pending the selectmen's approval of Wobbs and Weirs.
Okay.
Okay.
Are any members of the public have any questions or comments on this particular application? No? Okay. Given that, I'll start walking down through the review, the findings of
Dan, unless
fact.
you have a question.
Do you want me to take notes on this?
Can she
Maybe
record if she's
maybe Nell
recused?
should do this.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think she can.
that would, you're probably right.
No worries, that's okay.
Okay.
Share the workload.
So, so in reference to the property located at 132 Botanical Gardens Drive, tax map and lot R4, 109. The applicant, Costa Maine Botanical Garden, represented by Lawrence Stockwell. Property taxes have been paid in full on the property. Actually, property taxes are not applicable to that because it's nonprofit. Correct. So we probably ought to modify the actual property tax verbiage here because
Oh, sorry about that, yeah.
yeah,
I'll do it online.
yeah, okay.
So,
Because it's a nonprofit.
so we just, how,
I think it's not.
it's requested. Doesn't matter which one.
Yeah.
Are not applicable.
Okay, the applicant proposes to construct a pier with an 8 by 36 angled access boardwalk, a 90-foot fixed pier, 8 feet in width for the first 78 and 12 feet for the last 12 feet, to a seasonal 40 by 4 foot runway to two 12 by 20 foot floats supported by dolphins. And it includes an osprey platform. Registry of Deeds, Book 2109, page 315, located in the shoreline zone, in general residential, in the shoreline overlay zone. And it's assessor's tax map R4 109 and 118, 8.52 acres. And we have received copies of the NRPA and Army Corps of Engineers permits. And so, based on that information, I make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated right title or interest to the property in question.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay. Review criteria relating to the planning board must determine the application in conformance with land use goals and objectives in section 1 through 8 and the standards in section 3, standards A through H. I move that the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 3.6.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay, additional review criteria for docks, piers, wharfs, and bridges in section 310 of 9, A through G. I move the applicant has demonstrated the proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 310.9.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay. Ordinance section 185 shoreland, 185A through L. I move that the applicant has demonstrated the proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 185 shoreline of the Town of Boothby zoning ordinance.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay. So, based on the above findings of fact and
Need to
conclusions.
put the condition first.
Right, so we would have a condition that the approval is conditional upon the selectmen's approval of the Wars and Fires plan. Right? Okay, so based on these findings of fact and conclusions, I make a motion to approve the this application. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Next item on the agenda is Ingrid Tostison, property on 34 Long Ledge Road. Applicant proposes to establish a home occupation other, a wellness sanctuary on combined lots of approximately 14 acres. So is and Jean, you're the
Yes.
lead reviewer, right?
And
Yep.
this would be the second time this has come forth, but in changed application, and so Ingrid, if you would like to come up and give a
Yes,
brief
I'm
description.
grateful to have a second chance to clarify what I want to offer. And I wanted to also provide you with some pictures of the sauna chimney that Alan you had asked about. Here are 2 pictures, as well as a picture of the space, the outdoor space that has that. And then I also, parking was a consideration, and in your, and on this proposal, there is some pictures of areas where cars can go, but that's also a very bad, but, but it's a sketch of the parking, as well as this is a map that you might find helpful.
That's in our packet.
That's in there?
Is
This
there actually,
one
no,
is-
it's not.
This is
That's
not.
not-
We
no,
just,
no, that is-
I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's, so basically, what I'm proposing, which I outlined here, and I'm just gonna read from that, is to have by appointment massage therapy and private yoga instruction, as well as to have use of the sauna and the tub as part of the therapies, and to be available to take appointments 5 or 7 days. 7 is written here, but I don't mind bringing it down to 5. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. What that means is just being open to take appointment. I would only be taking 3 appointments a day. That's the maximum. I'm looking to have 4 workshops a year. No overnights, only day workshops, spanning from the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, no participants stay overnight at site, and a maximum of 10 people, and it lasting 3 to 5 days in length. And that's only 4 workshops a year. I would not be operating July and August, as well as December to January. And that might shift, it might even be into February. So those are to show the low impact, because that was the big issue that I perceived, is that it was presented as a very expanded offering. And so mainly it's one-on-one, and it's also quiet. I don't want to be disturbing neighbors. This is a quiet business. I don't want to be playing music. I would like to be helping people relax in nature. I'm really blessed to live in this place, and it would be wonderful to work there as well. And then another thing I wanted to address was the name. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at the website again, but I did, I held on to the name because I do like it, and I explained it. Did you read that? Or, yeah, you did. Thank you. So temples remind us of the sacred. They reaffirm the reverence necessary to abide in peace and align with the principles of harmony. The medicine of a temple space is its beauty, peace, and tranquility, which blossoms within us a sensation that transcends our pain and suffering. In this spirit, and with this inspiration, Ocean Temple was given its name as a space to offer private healing sessions and small, intimate, and personalized day retreats on the beautiful coast of Maine. And so basically I was wanting to be clear that I am not a religious, spiritual organization. I want to help lift the spirit. And I'm just using that as a metaphor, if you will. So that was so that's what I have to offer now. There's a lot more that I wrote down, but that's sort of the gist of what I'm looking to offer under home business other. So.
Yeah, my main question was the parking, and yeah, it looks like you have plenty of space for that, even.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
that
at
was,
least 10 cars, and,
yeah.
I did a site visit.
And you did a site
And
visit?
I can confirm that,
Yeah.
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 What's the situation of the parking in relation to the property lines and screening and stuff?
Yeah, I
There's
don't
nothing
think it's
close.
even,
It's
no, it's not even.
Well,
close.
Hundreds of feet, it looks like.
more than 100, which is the limit. But I mean, we're very far away from everyone else. And if you look at the satellite
Right.
photo, you can get a sense of where everything is in relation to where we are. There is a lot in between Mr. Corus's land And then we do abut the land with the Plusas. They're abutting us. And so we're around roughly 600 feet away from house to house with Mr. Corus. And I don't know the footage of the house to house between the Plusas, but I know it's well over 100.
I went on to Google Earth and just did a little measurement to the shore and over.
Oh,
And
sure.
to the shore, it was at least 170 or 80, and it's farther to the other house. So I'm guessing at least 200, yeah.
And that way, we're quite nestled, and that's part of why I love the idea of working there, is because it is very peaceful and it's private. And I don't, let me just, if I can put this down, did you find the satellite picture? Yeah, you have it. You have it? All right.
Yeah, we all have it, yeah.
Okay. And I also have some, the brochure that has pictures, as well as we figured out the correct footage, which was really hard.
The math's not fuzzy anymore.
Yeah, my mom who's here is a mathematician. I am not. I'm the touchy-feely one. So anyway, if you want to look at this, as well as these. And I took out the interfaith spiritual retreat. It just was not going to work. I just think wellness sanctuary is nice and simple. It was about simplifying. So.
How long does a treatment or a session usually take for one-on-one things?
So in that is the core services. It's in that which you'll see, and there's a 1 hour massage so that's an hour, and then there is the tub and massage. So it would be an hour with the massage, and the tub it's varies because an hour in a warm tub with salt is a lot, and most people can't take it, but it's about an hour long.
For the most part, with the exception of the workshops you might do, you'd probably only have 2 cars in the parking lot, a client and then someone going, someone there being treated, and then someone coming for a next one, possibly. Does that sound right?
Well, yes and no. I don't like to do the reason. I don't want to have somebody coming and going like that. There would be space in between.
So
I don't like to do especially this kind of work. I cannot do
Back to back.
So it would be probably a couple hours in between.
one car then, and with the exception of workshops.
Right. Exactly. What I'm hoping to do more of is the day retreats. I do really well with, I had a guest come to just try it out on Sunday, and it was wonderful to spend 5 hours just going deep and helping this person out. So she's also, there's been a number of people who've called in and written, and she was one of those people. So,
Yeah.
Sally Glazner.
I think we've had 5.
Yeah, so we probably need to make those a part of the record, if they're not already, the letters.
Sure,
And,
do you have
uh,
Okay.
Employees, were you not having employees? I guess
I'm not,
guessing
no, there was a miscommunication again
Okay.
with what
I
I was
just wanna
trying to
make-
offer with it would be a workshop situation, but I do not want to do any of that. It was
Okay.
going to be to
So
call in
no
a nurse to
more-
work with me for that 3-hour, 4-hour session. That's not going to happen
Yeah.
unless I do it during one of the workshop sessions, in the 4 of the year.
Right.
I would like to just focus on one-on-one. That's what I would like to do. I think that's what I can
So-
handle with all of what's happened and everything.
So that wouldn't be an employee?
Wouldn't be an employee.
No, I'm not having any employees. It's
Okay.
me.
Yep.
I am
Okay. So the only question that I had was about the tub water, and Dan, if you can help, because of the Epsom salts and draining it into the gravel, is there a gray water issue with that?
There is not. I contacted the DEP. I spoke with Jim Rodriguez, who was my local contact, and he said as long as it doesn't cause undue erosion and sedimentation, it's fine. The plants may not do as well in the garden, but
Well, hopefully the weeds, that's all.
But
Thank you. Because the
it
garden
was
is.
not an issue as far as the DEP
So
is
the
concerned.
magnesium from the Epsom salts was not an issue?
Correct.
Good.
Okay.
I added to my garden, so didn't
You
think
add
so,
Epsom
but-
salt
Yeah,
too?
to
Really?
add magnesium to the soil, but I had to ask the
Okay.
question.
And I can easily use, I do have part of the tub is to bring up salt water from the ocean. and add it as a ritual. So it went beautifully on Sunday, I mean, I wouldn't be pumping up ocean water, but I certainly can use something else than Epsom salt if it's gonna be an issue for the environment. So-
But it's not. So thank you, Dan, that was helpful.
I don't have
Other
more
questions? Other board members have questions? Okay, anyone from the public have any questions or comments?
Yes, good evening. My name is Estelle Lavoy. I'm an attorney in Portland, and we represent David Koris, K-O-R-I-S, as trustee.
Excuse me just a minute. Your last name is Lavoy?
Lavoy, L-A-V, as in Victor, O-I-E.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Koris is the trustee of the Koris Family Real Estate Trust, and as such owns real estate at 40 Royal Road in East Booth Bay. And I expressed concern on his behalf at the last meeting on July 17th, and though he didn't really receive notice of this, I did get copies of the application materials until I think yesterday. He called me and expressed his concern in reviewing the revised application submitted to you and being heard this evening, but there's no substantial difference from the prior application, and he is still concerned about it and objects to its approval. As you well know, this is approval for a home occupation with massage therapy, yoga instruction, sauna and hot tub in connection with that, and the interfaith spiritual retreat, which I guess is not of a religious nature. He believes that many of these uses don't touch on a traditional home occupation, and that there are a number of conflicts with the ordinance. In particular, the business activity in a home occupation must be incidental to the use of the property as a residence, as you know. It hardly seems as though use of the property 7 days a week, up to 12 hours a day for 8 months a year rather than 12 months a year, with up to 4 workshops a year, 12 hours a day, 3 to 5 days in length, would be incidental to use of the property as a residence. We think it transforms the property from a traditional single-family home to a business with customers, potential customers or clients potentially on the premises for a number of hours during the day. I guess one question we have has to do with water and septic. The hot tub has 171 gallon capacity. Does the water supply, which I assume is
The Atlantic.
it's the Atlantic. So it's entirely ocean water that goes into the hot tub? There's nothing from the well?
No, I'm sorry. It's partly from the well.
Partly from the well. I guess I would ask whether there is enough water in the private well to supply at least a portion of the water in the hot tubs, to clean all of the areas in the hot tubs after every use. Will there be extra toilet and shower facilities, especially when there are workshops? There can be up to 10 people a day for 3 to 5 days. And what about waste disposal? I assume there is a septic system. Would it accommodate 10 people a day, 12 hours a day for up to 5 days? You have 10 people a day for, we'll say 3 days, that's a lot of people. And I don't happen to know what the capacity is. I don't know if the code enforcement officer has looked at that, or if you have a plumbing inspector. If there are going to be up to 10 people a day, 3 to 5 days at a time, I would think there would be a need for food. There was some discussion of food at the last meeting, and the idea was to bring in some food, presumably from the town. But if you have people for up to 12 hours a day, up to 10 people, I would think people would get hungry. Usually people don't go without food or drink for maybe a couple hours at a time. I'm just curious if all of that would be produced on the premises as is contemplated in the ordinance, or if some of that is going to be brought in, don't know. Will there be a sign directing customers to the property? What will be its dimensions? about the potential presence of radon on the property? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer and a cause of several chronic pulmonary diseases. Mr. Corris, who bought his property nearby, purchased it about 3 months ago. And he found that because of the presence of radon, he had to purchase and install both water and air systems to mitigate radon levels. Has the Tostason property been tested for radon? And if positive, is there a radon mitigation system in place, given that there will be paying guests who could be exposed to radon levels? One question is, the application asks for a copy of any deed granting easements on or beneficial to the lot. Of course, easements can have beneficial effect on a lot and can have a negative effect, can prohibit you from doing things. I noticed in the warranty deed that was submitted that there were 4 easements referred to which the property is subject. One of which is, for example, subject to restrictions, protective covenants, and conditions set forth in 2 deeds from Eli Ridgway to the Tostasons, both in 1988. I don't know what the restrictions and protective covenants might be. Gathering those easement deeds were not submitted if there are restrictions. It probably was intended to protect the Ridgway property, though I can't know without having seen the deeds. It is not in this application, but Ms. Tostason has discussed in the past potentially dealing with addiction education. Addiction education would be very different. I don't know if that would be covered by this, but if it isn't, one of our concerns is if you approve this application and the use is successful, 3 to 5 years down the road, if there's a request for expansion, more people, more use, that sort of thing, is this going to be an expanding thing down the road? Mr. Corris is concerned that if the application is approved, his property could be damaged by this, and he thinks that the proposed use or uses fall outside the boundaries of a traditional home occupation and should be located in a commercial setting elsewhere in town rather than in this special residential district. He explained to me that at the time he was considering buying the property, the sellers of this property represented that this was a special residential district and that there were further protections in the shoreline zone. And in his view, having this commercial use on a nearby property is not consistent with that. And so he respectfully requests to deny the application.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public?
I just wanted to make a comment about radon.
Okay. And just for the record, I didn't.
My name is David Stimson, 261 River Road in Booth Bay. As far as I know, the effects of radon are a cumulative thing, and that if you live in a house that has radon, it's bad because you're in the house for sometimes 15, 20 hours a day. But I can't see how, if somebody came for a few visits, how any levels of radon that you would be expected to find in a situation like that could be harmful to those people.
A couple of comments or questions in regarding catering. Do you intend to do anything at home, or, you know, Ms. Lavoie makes a comment about people getting hungry every few hours. Are you looking at, you know, baking cookies, or are you having things like that brought in, or what's your plan there?
I think that they can go and they can find something to eat in town.
How about, well, the sign
And they
ordinance?
can also bring food.
Yeah, the sign ordinance is something that you'd have to conform to.
I'm sorry?
There's a sign ordinance that you'd have to conform to if you were to put up a sign
Oh, no, I
on
don't
your
want a sign.
property, and
Absolutely.
you'd also have the right to put up a little sign on some of these signposts that you see around town pointing towards businesses.
No,
So I don't know that that's an issue.
no, I don't want a
Yeah.
sign, I don't want anyone to know where I am. I don't
Yeah.
want anyone driving up. I'm perfectly happy being secluded like that. There are posts on our land, there are posts on our land that I may put Ocean Temple on someday, the great one, and I don't have the money for that yet.
You know, as far as expansion goes, we've seen many businesses that start out as one thing, and you certainly have the right to come in and
Right.
request changes to it.
Yeah, I mean, the expansion, if there is expansion down the road, that's another application.
That's
down
another
the road.
application and review of.
And just I've also reached out quite a bit in the last 2 days to Mr. Corris, and actually he knew about this because of me, because he didn't get any information. It just somehow didn't, it was sent to him, but it just, the mailing didn't go through. So I've been speaking with him quite a bit, and I'm more than happy to help him in any way feel okay about this if it does go through or not. You know, I've been trying very hard to find a middle ground with him. So.
Oh, for the record, notice was sent to him.
I'm sorry, what?
For the record, notice was sent to him. I don't-
Yeah, exactly. I know
Yeah.
that,
Right.
and I
I don't know
everybody
why
Notice
was
was
told.
sent.
didn't receive
But I
it,
think
but-
there are mutual residences, is that correct?
Well, he told me in an email that, he called the town said, no, we didn't send you a notice, so, you know, I don't know.
Which actually, we wouldn't have to since he's not a traditional abutter.
Yeah,
He abuts the property that is not being used.
Yeah, there's a vacant property separating
Correct.
his property from.
So in
Which is
fact, he
all-
doesn't have to get notice at all. I
Yeah.
think Lori tried to do it as,
Yeah.
As a-
just to
yeah.
reach
Okay.
out.
So,
Yeah.
what about the septic?
I did the calculations the first time.
Yeah.
And it checked out on that, which was much more use, so I.
So the existing septic has
The capacity.
to handle
Correct.
that.
And I can get the final numbers to you if that's something you want to see. I can email them.
I think
No.
other people,
Pardon?
other audience members.
Okay. Are there other comments from the public?
I live right around the corner from her on Ocean Point Road,
And-
Could you state?
and,
Yeah, just could you, for the record, could you
oh,
identify yourself?
Liz Director,
Okay.
pardon? Liz Director. And I'm really excited about what she's doing over there and excited to be part of it and make use of it. And it's a beautiful location. It's beautiful for what she wants to do. She's a very gifted body worker and healing energy, and the place lends itself really well. And I'm a neighbor that's just in favor of it, so I wanted to put that on the record.
So, I'm Magdalena Tosterson, and I'm the trustee of the trust of 34 Long Ledge Road, and I'm the sole owner of the property that's in between Mr. Corris and 34 Long Ledge Road. And we've discussed this venture for a long time, and I'm perfectly happy with what I see happening in my house.
Yes.
I'm Andrea Goodman, and I have Ruby Throated Spirit, which is a similar home business and that's on Barbers Island. And I want to speak to the issue of people coming and going and what it means to be open 12 hours a day and 7 days a week. It simply means that one makes oneself available to people who need me. But it's not ever that there are people all day long, all week long. It's not that kind of work, it's not that kind of a business. And the impact of one at a time coming is really no different than a relative or a friend stopping by. I mean, in terms of traffic and impact to the neighborhood, it's totally consistent with living in a house. so that when you have, especially when you're living mostly alone, and you're the only person using the well and the septic system most of the time, and you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people coming over, it's really not any different than if you had a family living with you in that house that could accommodate that big a family. It's not different than having a party now and then, a family reunion for a weekend. You know, having 10 people at a time is a small party or a small family reunion. And I just think it's totally consistent with residents. It's not like a busy business in that regard.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns?
I would like to address the concerns about the, can't think of the word, easements.
Okay.
If there are easements that address protections, then certainly we need to be aware of what those are to make sure there isn't a conflict. It's very different if it's a CMP easement versus if they're protective covenants.
Right.
Yeah, but the protective covenants, though, I don't think that's
So
a part of, that's not a part of what we are, we
That
just.
would be a civil matter,
Yeah,
not
that-
municipal, and
Thank you.
it would actually be unlawful for us to take that into
Mm.
consideration.
Okay.
Correct.
We look at the deed
Yes.
to make sure that they are the owners of the property.
Right.
And
Right.
any easements, yes, but I think that's separate from the protective.
Yeah, and
covenants.
there's
Yeah.
no further development being proposed that would impinge on any easements any beyond anything that's already in place there today.
Just wanted to make sure the issue
Respectfully,
was
I would
addressed.
just say it's part of your application, that a
Correct.
copy of those easements are to
Okay.
be submitted, so
Mhm.
it's.
This part of the application for this to be submitted, there's
I
nothing that
think we
says
do,
that.
we have easements in here, as far as I know.
Yeah.
We
I'll
do.
just take it. We did?
Yeah.
I don't remember from my
Oh.
review whether we did or not.
Easement or right of way for purpose of travel on foot. Easement for electrical power, telephone, cable. Right of way from the town road.
Those are the easements.
And then
They're
restrictions,
in- they're in
protected
the
covenants
deed.
and
An
conditions.
easement already,
Yeah.
Yeah.
travel by foot of it.
All right.
So they're there, as far as I can tell. Don't,
I'm familiar with this, with the title of this property. There used to be an easement that went from, I'm Bill Logan, I'm assistant to Toss's.
Right.
There used to be an easement that went from this property through the Toss's lot that's not in this application to the Mr. Corus's lot. And years ago, they took that out, and the Corus right away goes from Royal Road over to his land. It doesn't go through this anymore.
Okay.
So the access, as you can probably see on the Google map, is completely separate.
yeah.
That's what
Separate road.
that's all about.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board? Do you want to walk us through the review criteria, Gene?
Sure.
Do you want me to report?
Sure.
Since you're
Yeah, that'd be good,
readers.
yeah. The findings of fact, this property is located 34 Long Ledge Road, tax map R9, lot 9, and also the abutting property, map 9, lot 9, A01. The owners of the property are Magdalena, Ingrid, and Josh Tosteson, and the property is further I got that. It contains 6 acres, and the abutting property contains 7.71 acres. The applicant is Ingrid Tosteson, and she has demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a copy of the deed. She proposes to establish a home occupation, in parentheses, other business. The business proposed is a wellness sanctuary. and the applicant has state certification for the business which she proposes. Based on the above stated facts, the planning board makes the following conclusions. Right, title, or interest in the property. The applicant has demonstrated right, title, or interest on the property in question, and I would make the motion that she has.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Did we see, was that everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Was
was
it
it?
Review
Moved too
criteria,
fast for me.
yeah, sorry, this is a long section. Review criteria, section 1.8, land use goals and objectives, which talk about small town character and commercial and industrial uses. Also, review criteria in section 3.6, number .1, and I'll include A through H, which talks about maintaining safe and healthful conditions. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets that criteria in section 1.8 and 3.6.1.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Section 3.10.11, home occupations, inclusive 3.10.11.1 through 3.10.11, 2.2.1. Talks about business activity next to the use of residences and parking provisions, etc. No, there are no employees, so that's not an issue. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 3 of the development and use.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Section 3.11.8, lighting. I don't know that we actually talked about lighting, and I can't remember if it was in it, but you're not changing any lighting from what it already is. So I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 3.11.8, the lighting section.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
3.11.10, noise, inclusive 3.11.10.1 through 3.11.10.3.3, which talks about noise levels. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that the proposal meets this criteria set forth.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Section 3.11.11, outdoor storage. Don't think she's having any outdoor storage, and so I would,
Do we need,
what's that? Do we need to put in, but that's, yeah. Yeah, I would move the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the criteria for outdoor storage.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
3.11.12, parking and loading, general description, access standards, number of parking spaces. From 3.11.12.1 through 3.11.12.4.2.1, I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that the parking proposal meets this criteria.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Screening. The buffers are considerable, so I would move that the applicant has met the proposal and the criteria in this ordinance.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Signs. She's indicated she's not going to have any signs at this point either, anyway, so I would say that she has demonstrated the proposal meets the criteria set forth in the sign section.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Waste disposal. We talked about the disposal of the water and So I would move that the applicant has demonstrated the proposal meets this criteria.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Are there any conditions of approval?
I can't think of any.
Based on the above findings of fact and conclusions, I would make a motion that we approve this application.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Thank you very much.
I made it through.
Make a pile for David right there. So.
Where's the other?
Pardon?
Where's the other finding?
I don't know where that.
I
You got it?
Oh, you got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just pass this over to you.
Yeah, so we don't get it. We don't want that getting out.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Dan, can you make sure that these end up in the
I think all those pictures should
Thank you.
go with that.
That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna give those up to Dan.
And everyone's gonna leave.
Okay.
I looked at it.
And I briefly looked at a couple of them, but I was not done.
Okay. So, moving right along, the next application is the David A. Brett Family Trust, represented by David Brett, and Fran is the lead reviewer on this one.
And the applicant proposes to develop a portion of the 30% allowed expansion of the shoreland zone. The development includes a deck, stairs, and a shed. And Mr. Brett, are you here to represent this?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I have someone from Lake Station.
Was the letter that
you guys had?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that, yep.
So Mr. and Mrs. Brett have a piece of property on Eagle Island, and there's an existing home, and they're looking to use some of their 30% expansion to add a attached shed, an attached porch, and stairs.
Are there more than one of those plans up there, or is that just one? Or
There's more than one.
Yeah, there's more than one.
Actually.
could we look at bigger ones? We had really tiny ones.
Yeah, really tiny. And looking at the PDF of the revised one on my monitor at home, not fun.
You want everybody? Okay.
There's no conflict with the shoreline zone in this, is there?
No.
And the math is now readable.
Yes, that helps, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't have any questions on this. Does anybody else?
Any members of the public have any questions or comments on this expansion?
I just wanted to see if I wrote anything down. I don't remember.
Take your time.
The only question, I guess, this is the first edition, haven't been any others.
That's
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay. So, do you know the relative volume of the house versus the cottage?
I don't have separate figures for those, no.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
They're all attached via a deck, so.
okay. Yeah, the volume of the proposed shed so minor without consideration.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't have any
No other questions?
No.
Okay. So Fran, you want to walk us through the review criteria?
Yeah, no comments from anybody?
Are you doing a recording for this one?
Will.
Do you want me to just keep going? I just need to know.
The application is for an expansion of the property within the 30% allowed expansion in the shoreline zone. The development includes a deck, stairs, and shed. The property is located on Negro Island, tax map lot R, note R09 14/04. The owner is David A. Brett Family Trust relating to the property located on Negro Island. Taxes, property taxes on account have been paid in full. We've just gone through where this place is. It's in the Registry of Deed Book 2913 on page 16. The property is in the general residential zone and it contains 0.72 acres. And the applicant proposes to develop a portion of the 30% allowed expansion. Conclusions. Based on the above stated facts, the planning board makes the following conclusions. Right title or interest in the property. I make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated right title or interest on the property in question.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Review criteria. In general, the code enforcement officer and planning board shall consider the following criteria, and it's listed as A through H, and it's regarding safe and healthful conditions, water pollution, disposal of wastewater, adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, conserving shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters, protecting archaeological and historic resources, et cetera, et cetera. I make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 1.8 and 3.6 review criteria of the town of Booth Bay zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Additional review criteria is identified by section 3.9.5.4 through 3.9.5.4.3.3. I'll make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 3.9.5.4, development and performance standards of the town of Booth Bay zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Additional review criteria, non-conforming structures, 311.20.3 through 311.20.3.1.5.3.1. I'll make a motion, say that with a mouthful of soup. I'll take a motion that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 311.20.3 non-conforming structures of the town of Booth Bay zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Are there any conditions? Okay, based on the above findings of facts and conclusions and plans and supporting information, submitted testimony and evidence submitted at the planning board meetings on the application, on the motion made by myself,
I'll second.
the planning board has approved the development permit application subject to the conditions set forth below, all the reasons set forth in the findings and conclusions, and there are no conditions.
Well,
But I think
yeah.
we just need to make the condition that it gets
Yeah,
recorded.
we
It needs to be-
do.
Yeah, so yeah, condition
Yeah.
that has to be recorded.
Yeah, there is there's a standard condition on the findings of fact about
When it's a 30% expansion.
it,
Yeah.
you know, it has to be only developed in accordance with the
Yeah.
plan, and then the other condition is has to be recorded. So I can capture
Who
that.
seconded that?
I did.
No, second.
Hasn't been seconded yet.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She seconded it.
So that
Yeah.
the plan will be recorded and the.
Okay.
So did Nell second it?
I did, sorry, I
Right.
wasn't using my meeting voice.
Okay.
Sometimes when you guys are low, I can't tell which voice is which, yours is James.
We're trying to confuse you, Sherry. So, been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Great. So, and So this sheet, we all sign this, Dan?
Yes. And Sharon, you need to sign it as well as a notary.
Okay.
For the,
We'll probably have
just to,
update the quotes there.
oh, from,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Names.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay, yeah.
I thought it was something.
Sure, we should
No, right, yeah.
Paper out and forgot it.
Okay. We ready to move along?
So,
Almost? Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Butler Farm Estates owned by Guy Peasley. Proposes to combine 5.2 acres from one lot with lot R7 3211 within the subdivision. And Nell, it's your turn.
So I didn't see any image describing what was gonna happen,
The actual plan?
the actual plan.
Yeah.
So that,
Okay. So we actually have to sign those, but
Yes.
we'll do those at the end.
Yeah, but I was,
gonna show the
Yeah.
plan.
Show the plan that's hiding in the
That was the only thing I got the concept, but
So,
that's what we have, that's the actual conveyance.
that conveyance, I'm just wondering if
so that's the conveyance. Do we have something that shows the,
Right,
what the
the
subdivision
change.
looks
The
like
initial.
afterwards?
I should have gotten the 11 by 17 somewhere.
didn't get any.
We didn't
get
No,
any.
we didn't get
No.
any. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
It's like, reading the application, it was difficult to tell exactly what was happening. The findings of facts was actually
Right.
more instructive.
They are a lot, it's a plans, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what he wanted to do with it.
So who's speaking to this? You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you missing?
We don't have any,
The actual subdivision
the
plan.
subdivision plan that will show how the lots look before and after, we don't have any image of that.
I'm guessing that we actually do have it, but we just, he's got it up there, but just
But
didn't get
We-
to
yeah,
us.
didn't get it
Didn't
to
get
our
to
get
us,
to
that's
us.
all.
Yeah.
So we got the application and the
Mhm.
associated paperwork, but nothing that shows a visual of what the change is. So I think Dan wants to go see. So if you'd like to just tell us about it very
Yeah,
briefly?
Sure.
Basically, all I'm doing is asking to get this 5.2 acres attached to lot 11, on my original sub.
Got it. What you want to show?
Lot 11. Right here. Is that 5 sheets, there, 4 sheets?
Makes it much easier. Okay, so,
Just gonna come off this lot here and come down and then go over. You see this 5 acres here?
Uh-huh.
That'll be attached to this lot here.
It'll be attached to lot 11?
Yes.
Okay, so you're taking the land out of the remaining land and
That's
putting it
correct.
into lot 11?
Okay.
Okay. So Dan, don't we need to have a plan that actually shows what lot 11 will look like at the end of this?
This is,
This is,
this is what we
this is
were,
the 5 point,
is that what
That's
we were
the,
roughly
Yeah.
calculating?
this is not the whole entire remaining property.
We have the larger versions of those.
Yeah, but that,
but, yeah.
Was that required in this application?
Typically, we like to see how it looks before and then how it's gonna look after so that we can see that. But the application doesn't specify it in those terms.
so that's the original subdivision plan that was signed off
Correct.
back however many years ago, right?
The
Right.
representation,
Yeah.
which is what you have in 11 by 7.
Right.
But doesn't there have to be a plan that shows
The revised
the
subdivision
new,
plan?
the new lot 11 that's gonna get recorded in the registry of deeds, the new subdivision plan that shows lot 11? Don't we have to
We don't have that.
Well, yeah,
don't-
usually
I
like
don't-
the existing and then the proposed and then there it's in the application. Just, not that it's a big deal, but,
Right.
it's just, we can't
Yeah.
get.
This will become one
One lot.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes,
One lot,
understood.
yeah.
Last one, one.
Yeah.
No.
Second lot.
Yeah.
All
No,
become one lot.
no.
But the plan that will get filed to show the change in lot 11 will have to get filed with the Registry of Deeds.
Yeah.
And we typically see and sign off on that before it goes to the
Right.
Registry of Deeds. That's part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah, what I would expect to see is basically a diagram like this that shows
With the 2.
with the 5.2 acres
Added
onto
to 11.
and then we would sign that
And file it as the
make
new
file.
subdivision plan.
Just like this one was signed and recorded, yeah.
So,
So have you, you're working with Terry
Dan
later?
Ruby.
Okay. And do you know if there's such a document has been prepared?
What was that again?
Do you know if a document like that has been prepared that shows the change in,
Of this.
change of the subdivision?
No, I thought Dan had,
He
Shown.
laid out this here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think in one of my documents that I gave you, I drew a drawing
you did have the drawing.
on that there, but
Yeah.
we didn't show the remaining piece of property.
Right.
That's what
Which-
we'd like to have.
Right, which Dan could
Yeah.
put that in together. Yep.
Don't we need a new one of these to file with the Lincoln County?
I believe what we would need would be basically a revised edition of that.
Of this,
Right.
correct.
These two
Yeah.
lots.
Right.
Right,
Shown as a
So
single
this
lot 11.
representation shows you essentially what the new lot looks like that
Okay.
you need.
does that?
So
That shows
where-
the 5.2 acres.
And the 5.2
That's being
acre-
carved out of
Yeah.
the
That shows
remaining
the-
land
the new-
and added to 11.
Yeah.
So if there's, we have nothing that shows the new
The actual-
11.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what we need is the plan that shows that here. Yeah,
Yeah, you would need basically what you have, but shown
Yeah.
with that extra
Right.
5.2.
yeah. And what's the remaining, how big is the remaining land piece
Yeah, lot.
at the end of this? Yeah, I mean this,
It's, well, it was 43.37
oh,
acres.
okay, all right, so that becomes about 37 or so.
Right, that's
38,
correct.
38
It's
acres.
was 43.37 acres, and you're taking 5.2 off.
So it
Okay.
becomes 38,
Right.
okay, yeah.
So it's not that there's an issue with the amount of land.
So,
Can we
I don't see
approve
any.
it based on a new, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trivial change. It doesn't-
Right, I agree.
I would have no
Make
problem
it
if we wanted to
conditional.
go through the approval process and just approve it conditional on getting a plan that shows the whole thing.
And we can have,
And we can
have
sign
a
it.
plat.
And then we can
At
sign
a
it.
workshop.
And
or
we
a
can sign
public
it
hearing, yeah.
whenever we're able to.
You're
yeah.
yeah.
Does that work?
We just have Dan essentially revise that, and just represent the two new lots.
Yeah.
And that one change.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want to walk us through the?
Yep.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. That was,
We'll do it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's put this out of the way.
He's got-
These little interesting things.
Pardon?
Little
Yes.
interesting things.
Next week.
Yeah.
Well, it's all the week.
Yeah. No, it's not.
You want
He just needs to
more
see it.
copies? Okay.
Because we're gonna have one.
Yeah. Why don't you?
Okay, I wasn't sure if we need to wait for them
Oh,
to finish
so
their
basically-
conversation.
We've got
Okay.
enough to do.
Yep, the findings of facts
You want this laid out on
for
that?
property located at 122 Butler Road,
Laid out on
Booth Bay.
Yes. So
Map
that you show it like
RO7
your
lot
picture. Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
The owner of the Butler Farms Estates LLC, represented by Guy Peasley, relating to 122 Butler Road, map 7 lot 32. Property taxes on the account of the premises for which the approval is requested have been paid in full.
Very good.
Properties in a general residential zoning district, and it contains 43.37 acres. The applicant is Butler Farms Estates LLC, who has demonstrated legal interest in the property by providing a copy of the deed found at the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds in Book 2499, page 233. The applicant proposes to amend the Butler Farms Estates subdivision by breaking off a 5.2 acre parcel from the 43.37 acre parcel and adding it onto parcel number 0032-11, which is currently 2.04 acres. Conclusions. Based on the above stated facts, the planning board makes the following conclusions. I move that the applicant has demonstrated right, title, or interest on the property.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Review criteria. Review criteria for the subdivision. It's criteria 4.6 through 4.6.22. And I move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 4.6, review criteria, section 4.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
General residential district, performance standards, 4.9.4.1, which is about configuration of lots and setbacks and the overlay zones, and it runs through 4.9.4.1.4. And I move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 4.94.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Based on the above findings of fact and conclusions, the plans and supporting information submitted, I'm going to stop for conditions.
Yeah. So I think the condition would be that the approval is conditional upon receiving a revised subdivision plan that shows the entirety of the new lot 11 with the additional 5.2 acres added to it. It can be signed by the planning board and filed with the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds.
Did you get all that?
No, I do not.
Her
Okay.
pen couldn't
Very
keep up.
fast, but conditional upon receiving a revised subdivision plan,
That shows the configuration of the new lot 11 with the additional land added to it. So that we have something to sign that can be filed with the Registry of Deeds.
Okay, and this always gets me confused because it's got the motions prior to.
Just make the
So,
motion. You
yes.
don't have to read what's
So
there.
I make the motion that we approve the application,
I'll second.
All those in favor?
including the conditions.
Right.
uh-huh,
Right.
including the condition. Hopefully you can read my writing on that.
Approved.
Who seconded that?
I seconded
Okay,
that.
yep.
Oh, well, she's already written on the other one.
Had it changed?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I have two last sheets on here, I'm just gonna rip one off.
So you'll just let us know as soon as the plans are here?
Yep.
and-
I'll let you know, and if you want to either stop in, I can
Individually or?
bring them by, or I can have them at the town here.
At the hearing next week, yeah. I'm gonna be out of town next week, so I won't be able to deal with it next week, but I'm coming in after that.
Yep, and I can always bring them by, drop them by
Okay.
after work or whatnot, if it works
Okay.
easier for me.
Yeah, we can just coordinate once you actually
Yep.
get it in hand.
Yep, I'll send out an email.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, Washburn and Dowdy, represented by Ken Sheridan Corp. The applicant, property location 7 Enterprise Street, East Booth Bay, zone Maritime Commercial District, land overlay zone. The applicant proposes expansion of its fabrication building and use within the commercial boat building industry. And I'm the lead reviewer, and I take it you are Ken Sheridan?
I'm not. I'm
You're
Ken
not.
Lamro. I don't know why Lori kept calling me Ken Sheridan.
Okay.
I think it's just the.
It's the way I answer the phone, I guess.
Okay. Ken of Sheridan?
Yeah, Ken from Sheridan.
Okay.
My name is Ken Lamro. I'm Director of Permitting for the Sheridan Corporation. We've been working with Washburn and Dowdy since 3 or 4 years before the fire on multiple times and multiple expansions. I've been before multiple boards. In 2008, we got this seawall approved and filled this land so that we could demolish that and move the burn boats over here and rebuild them. In 2009, I came back and we added a launch area here and a launch area there for a dry dock that they'd never done. So now we're back to modify it again. This time, now let me go back to this for a second. We have this little garage here and we're gonna have to move it. I don't know for sure whether we're going to move it forward or we're gonna set it over here. It's not gonna get any bigger, it's not gonna change its size. It's just gonna relocate someplace on the site. It's kind of hysterical, if you will. And it's kind of cool because it's a tiny little garage. Whoever built it didn't want to back their cars out. It has a turntable in it. It's really unique. So they want to save it and we're going to move it. So,
That's cool, yeah.
so we just don't know where yet, and I apologize, I can't tell you because Bruce is still mulling it over where he's going to put it. But it's gonna stay on site, either just forward of this building cuts into it about 4 or 5 feet. So we really could move it just sideways and make it happen. It's really not a big issue. This is the building we want to build. We're going to take some out of the ledge in this corner and put a retaining wall along this side. This is a large steel building. It's only about 44, 45 feet tall, where this one's 63, so it's not as high up. The goal is to add fabrication space. The big building is assembly space, and they're chewing up too much area fabricating pieces in it. So they want to get the fabrication somewhere else so they can put smaller pieces together, send them into the building, fabricate more boats faster. So that's the goal. That's what we're here for, and I'll answer questions from there.
Okay. So, so the space that it's, when I reviewed this, it looks pretty straightforward. Most of the dimension information matches. My main question related to, there's a lot coverage provision in the ordinance that, where is that?
Doesn't apply to,
It doesn't apply to this district, I don't think.
Right.
does it?
right, it
Yeah,
doesn't
no.
apply to maritime,
100%.
No,
water-related
100%, yeah.
works.
So,
Yeah.
I have a note right here in the plan that talks to that.
yeah, I know, and but I
Yeah.
looked through.
I wouldn't know if I hadn't been through this 4 times, so.
Right. So the developable area it can be 100%.
That's correct.
But the lot coverage, 396422, lots or parts thereof in the shoreline overlay zone may be developed to a maximum of 70%, and it refers to DEP 15B4. And so, is the land that you're putting that on, it's already obviously partially developed because you've got a garage on it and who knows what else.
Well,
So,
we've also got the assembly pad that we built when we built the seawall.
okay.
Which
So,
is this whole flat ground is,
oh, okay, so you're placing that on essentially
Already developed
already
ground.
developed land, so
That's
we're
right.
not increasing the amount of the lot that's been developed.
That's
I
correct.
assumed that was what you were doing, but I wanted to just
And it's hard to say,
check.
and it's
Yeah.
hard to point out, so, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
okay,
So, right, I think it's easiest to see on here.
yeah,
So it's gonna go right here where you can
Right,
see it
exactly.
already.
yeah. Okay.
For you, here's a true pro.
He brings pens. Okay.
Brought Sharpies.
Yeah. So,
Best thing to sign those with.
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's no other change in, you're just doing.
We're just adding
moving-
fabrication space.
Adding fabrication space to do what you're already doing. Okay. I didn't have any other questions besides that one about the developable, the lot coverage. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
No.
Anyone from the public have any questions, comments, concerns?
Would you like to see the plan?
All right, I'll start walking us through the process. Did we get a new, did you? give us
Yes.
a revised?
Yep, I have it.
Okay. It had, so you'll
The most recent
record
one.
on that, okay.
I think so.
So, So in reference to the property located at 7 Enterprise Street, tax map lot U16, 14, 15, 15A, and 16, the owner is Washburn and Dowdy LLC, represented by, to correct the name of
Yes,
in here.
how do you spell your last name?
LAMOREAUX.
Okay.
One more time.
LAMOREAUX.
So, property taxes have been paid in full. Property is located at 7 Enterprise Street, and the deed is in the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds, book 3393, page 134. It's in Maritime Commercial District. It's assessor's tax map and lot U16, 15, and 15A. Contains 97 or 0.97 acres, and the corporation also owns 16 lots 14, 15, and 16 with 0.38, 0.99, and 0.42 acres respectively. And okay, do we have a copy of the deed, the business
Yes.
registration and development fee?
The deed was in here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 The deed was in there.
Okay, because the paperwork here
The
says it's all
business stuff is
finished.
late, but I sent it over.
Yeah, I think it's in
Okay.
here.
Should be there now.
Where's the deed?
There's a purchase
Okay.
and sales agreement, there's a warranty
Yeah,
deed,
okay, good.
and
Yeah,
the, the fee's been paid.
And the fees paid, okay. And the applicant proposes to develop their business by expanding its fabrication business, building for tugboat modules within the commercial shipbuilding industry. So, I make a motion that we find that the applicant has demonstrated right title or interest on the property in question.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay, for our review criteria, section 1.8, A through H, I make a and the review criteria, section 3.6, I make a motion that the applicant has met those criteria.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Additional review criteria in section 3964. This is strange. Okay. I make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the criteria set forth in 396, development performance standards for maritime commercial district.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay. 39644 structures. I make a motion the applicant has demonstrated the proposal meets the criteria in section 39644 structures.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay. Based on the above findings of fact, so we would normally we just have a standard condition that the revised plan gets filed with the registry of deeds. So we should include that standard condition. And then the other standard condition that property can only be developed and used as stated in the plan that's been presented. So
I have a question pertaining that because the new plan doesn't show where the garage will be.
I'll be glad to bring you a sketch or send you a sketch as soon as I know. I just couldn't get that answer straightforward.
Understood. But
Or I would be glad to come back and, when we figure it out, do it again as another modification. I don't care.
yeah.
That's fine with me.
that seems, the revised plan doesn't actually show it on there at all.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be dishonest and say where it was gonna go, it might not be
Right,
there, so.
understood.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I think almost the entire lot is
It's,
developed.
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, and
I'm just thinking if we have a condition that we get something that shows where it will be.
yeah.
Yeah.
before the plan
Right.
would be signed.
Yeah.
And do we need it to show on the one that's signed so that that's what goes to the registry of
So-
deeds? That's,
so
I don't know the answer.
If you could produce something that showed the actual placement.
Right, I'll get with it.
And that will be the one that
Yeah,
so
I'll
we
just
don't
create
have
a new
to
one.
do multiples.
Yeah,
and-
no, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah. That'll give me more power to get them off the dime.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mind a little leverage once in a while.
And you will verify that it meets, the new location meets the setback and
yeah, I'll do it
dimensional requirements?
based on
Yeah.
lot coverage
Okay.
and setbacks from property lines.
Okay.
So what I have, I'm gonna number them. Number one is a revised plan showing, I should say, the new location of the garage.
Yep.
Okay. And so I'm gonna, didn't say that very well the first time. 2, the new plan to be recorded in the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds. Number 3, the property can only be developed and revised.
Well, that's
No,
that's already
in there,
on
so you don't
here,
have
so you
that.
don't even need to
Okay.
worry about that.
This is kind of messy.
Do you want
Okay.
a fresh copy of that page?
I could, I'll rewrite it here. Just, yeah, that'll work. It might work.
Well, we'll get,
Okay. If you can't read it,
you can type it up afterwards.
yeah, you can
we can
email me or
Yeah.
something, if you can, but I think you'll be
Yep.
able to do it. So we need to vote.
Yeah. Oh, I need to
Oh,
make a
shoot.
motion thing.
Yeah.
Since I was the lead reviewer. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the application with the 3 conditions that we just reviewed.
And I'll second.
But there are really
Two
two.
conditions.
There are 2 plus the one that's already there.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
The
like-
standard.
Right.
Standard, okay. You're seconding,
And
Brian?
you seconded, so all those in favor? Okay. And so, as soon as you get that land,
I'll email that out as well,
And,
and then I can verify, and I'll send out a letterhead to each of you stating I've gone over each of
Okay,
the
great.
setbacks and lot coverage.
okay. So, next item on the agenda.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
So, applicant is David Stimson, 261 River Road, Booth Bay, zone general residential. The applicant proposes a home occupation, other business, music lessons, and repair and building of musical instruments. So, David, would you like to?
Okay, well, the boat building business hasn't been doing too great lately. Fascinated by the fact that we lost the contract to build that steel schooner, and no prospects for any big work this winter. So my wife and I have been trying to come up with ideas for how we can make a living. And I hope eventually to be able to work on boats again, but always for many years been planning to shift into the violin making world, and my wife and I both teach music, and we would like to apply for a use permit whereby we could do both things at a property on 261 River Road.
The only question I have was, you're not gonna have any other employees besides yourselves. You didn't say anything in there, so,
Right.
I don't have any other questions.
And any other members of the board have questions or
And the
comments?
activity is strictly going to be in your home.
Yes.
Okay. Any comments from the remaining public?
Yeah, do
Okay. Jean, do you want to walk us through the
Yes.
review criteria?
Yeah.
Or the findings of fact?
Yep. Findings of fact, the owners of the property are Robert and Ruth Guillard, represented by David Stimson. The property is located at 261 River Road. It's in the general residential zone with a shoreland overlay, and is identified as tax map R5, lot 54, containing 8 acres. The applicant, David Stimson, is representing Robert and Ruth Guillard, and they have demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a copy of the deed. The applicant proposes a home occupation, business, music lessons, repair, and building of musical instruments. Conclusions. Right title or interest in the property. I would make a motion that the applicant has demonstrated right title and interest in the property.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
You're doing this, by the way?
Oh,
Keep track of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
And
I was a
Fran
yes on
seconded.
that, sorry.
It's okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Vote was 4 in
Yeah.
favor and 0 against.
Review criteria, 1.8, land use goals and objectives, small town character, commercial and industrial uses, and the review criteria, section 3.6.1, regarding maintaining safe and healthful conditions, etc. H, I would move that the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 1.8 and 3.6.1.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Home occupations encompassing 3.10.11.1 through 3.10.11.2.2.1. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in section 3.10.11.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Noise, section 31110, does not, I guess it does apply, but,
I don't know, beginner violin lessons, that could be very.
Get pretty. All those twinkles. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated the proposal meets the criteria set forth in 31110 regarding noise.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Parking and loading, 3.11.12.1 through 3.11.12.146, and the access standards other than 1 and 2 family residential uses. Also parking area standards for other than 1 and 2 family residential uses, and the minimum parking requirements, 3.11.12.4.1. I would move that the applicant has demonstrated that this proposal meets the criteria set forth in that section.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Signs, I don't think we talked about, but,
We don't have any immediate plans for one. It's possible we might
Just-
want to apply for some.
and then we will, put permits and all that.
Talk to Dan.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I would move the applicant has demonstrated this proposal meets the sign criteria.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Are there any conditions? He speaks. Anybody have anything? No? Okay. Based on the above findings of fact and conclusions and the plans and supporting information submitted, testimony and evidence submitted at the planning board meeting on this application, I would make a motion that we approve this application.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
One of my
It's
best
great.
friends' father
And
was
you'll-
a Geiger, who was a violin maker years back.
What was his name?
Geiger.
What's his first name?
His
Sure.
name.
Okay, yeah,
It's not bad.
Amazing. There was nothing really difficult.
What's that?
There was nothing really difficult. There was just a
Yeah.
lot.
No.
So moving on, other business. So we have a public hearing next week.
And you'll also be here?
I will not be here. I'll be in
Oh.
New Hampshire because I'm on vacation.
Okay.
Good for you.
So hopefully
I will be here.
you will be here.
I will be here.
Mike should be here. You can be here.
I'll be here, and so I've not been
that was-
present for a public hearing before.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can send me.
It would be nice to
Did I sign
see
it?
everything that's going to be reviewed before
Yeah.
that hearing.
Oh,
So-
Alan will sign it.
I'll send you what
Oh, you sent it
Yeah.
to us.
sent to Sally.
Right.
It's
So-
going to change.
Yeah, so the agenda that was advertised in the paper was, it says that, and I don't know why this is listed in the agenda for a public hearing, but that Mike Tomicelli and Nell Tharp have been moved to members, and oncoming planners will be alternates until further notice.
I didn't know there needed to be public notice
I
about
didn't
that.
know there needed to be either, but, so the items on the agenda are the changes to the C3 district use chart. So,
And
that piece, then the petition initiated changes to definitions. And this says the proposed phosphorus standards, which we're not really gonna
No.
cover. So,
I think it was probably put in there just because
Just in case?
Yeah.
Just in
And
case.
it's also gonna
Yeah.
include the industrial park changes.
We're just trying to make sure
So,
that
so yeah.
all
that-
bases
so-
are covered
Yeah.
if
Oh,
any,
if it's
that way,
so-
we're not gonna trip up.
So changes to the C3 district use chart, but are we also talking about the changes to the zoning
District.
map?
Yes,
Just the
Right.
zoning map in general, because there's industrial park,
with the two changes.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Three.
there's the industrial park as well.
right?
And warehousing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
as
Mike's
far as the
initiative.
map is concerned,
Sorry,
we
that's-
have the three.
Right.
Right.
And we do have, we don't have an enlarged version, but we'll have 11 by 17s available.
Okay.
Okay.
With that.
Right.
For anyone who wants them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the changes, I think,
The word-
warehousing,
Everything that we
exploration,
talked
extraction.
Yeah, okay.
Since Alan's gonna be away, I'll get with you during early during the week to, take a look at everything we're gonna talk about and to make certain we have an agenda listed, as to everything that's gonna be covered.
And I can, again, tonight, before I leave, I can just throw that to each of you, what was sent out. But again, I know there are gonna be changes, because that second distribution was quite large. And signs was wholesale, so I know we're gonna see some changes there. But
Right.
Yeah.
Sally just said, you just have another public hearing, and
Yeah.
that shows essentially
What, the work that was done in the
Yeah,
interim.
yeah, so we can go through all the rest of that stuff,
Yep.
anything we have available. We still need to advertise another public hearing for that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes.
So
and that would be,
we probably don't want, we should probably set a date now
I-
for that.
I
thought-
probably need to, yeah.
I thought it
I thought we already
was.
did.
Yeah, I thought it
I
was
thought
already
September
advertised,
4th was
Yeah, but I
Was
still
it?
need to make sure that Sally is going to have.
Oh, for
what
that
we-
date.
What we need.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay.
it's
Yeah.
not worth holding.
Holding it if we
We are
don't
doing
have
the
it.
same information.
Yeah, we need to have the final
Yeah.
product from Sally. Yeah, this, getting her review of the sign stuff is critical.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's probably, the rest, I think, is just gonna
Right.
go through and bang, bang, bang.
Mhm.
But I think that's probably gonna take a little bit of time because it is for sale.
Okay, and what did we set for the next date of the next hearing?
For what?
The date of the next hearing?
September
The
4th.
4th. And
September
so-
September 4th,
Yeah.
okay.
The question is, if the 4th doesn't work, do we need to put an ad in the paper?
We would need to.
And then cancel it if we do meet the 4th, so that we meet the notification.
Right.
October 25th is the drop dead last opportunity for a public hearing.
For,
And I,
for which
Don't
piece? There's two
think we're gonna
drop
have
dead
any issues.
dates in there.
No, there's October 29th is the last opportunity to post an addendum warrant, and the 29th is the point of no return.
but as far as I know, there have been no addendums.
Right.
We're
September
entertaining-
20th, the selectmen must sign an order of referendum for
Right,
votes.
that's-
Yeah,
So we have to
So that's-
have,
so we
We've
have
been
to,
saying-
Sally has to have everything
we have to
to
have
them,
everything
they've
ready.
signed it by September 20th, no
Right.
matter what.
Right.
So that's really the final drop dead date,
Yes.
because if it's not signed by then, it's not going on this November issue.
Right.
Yeah,
And so you can hold public hearings following that.
We can hold public hearings following, yeah.
so,
Okay.
Okay.
but I think we'll probably be on track for that.
Yeah.
And I'll correspond with Sally. in the next
Do
few
you know if
days.
Sally has seen this?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Jim.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
And maybe I'll just forward it along.
Yeah.
Just so she does have it. Yeah, I'll just forward that along so that she has that available to her. And if it's redundant, it doesn't matter, but if it's new, she has it.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any information on the search for new planning board members?
Not that I'm aware of. I think they're going to be getting pretty close because this was, last week, Jim was out because he was at the managers convention.
Okay.
This week, it was his vacation. So I think probably that process begins next week, is my guess.
Okay.
But
Jim had said that once that we elected our officers, he would probably set up something with interviews for candidates along with the selectmen and with some of us also.
Yep. He thinks that's a pretty good policy for boards.
Okay.
I
So we can talk about that probably at the September 4th.
Hopefully I'll have more information on Monday.
Okay.
And if I get more information, and then I can send that to you to say, this is what I think we're looking at for potentials.
Yeah.
And if
Don't,
dates.
yeah, don't expect to hear back from me next week.
Yeah, I'll just get it out so you have it, and if I get a response, great, but I know at least we'll get out.
Yeah, but definitely poll the other board members about interest in participating in those interview discussions as soon as you know anything.
Okay, I'll make a note, and I'll check with Jim on Monday just to see what we're looking at, if he has any inclination.
And if the 4th doesn't work in terms of getting things back from Sally, do we want to hold that as a workshop date?
Well, I almost thought that maybe we set dates and just cancel if we have to.
So
Right.
has that September 4th one been advertised yet?
I don't know, I'd have to ask Lori, but I assume so.
Okay.
I know the
Yeah.
email she said that she had set this other date,
So
so
it's-
I assume she'd
yeah,
So
initiated.
it's, because I don't remember seeing it in last week's paper, but maybe it's in this week's.
I would assume it would be
Yeah.
in tonight's.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Tonight's out there?
I know.
That's
No, we
last
always get
week's.
it the next day.
if nothing else, I would say hold the hearing anyhow and go over what we have
Treat it as
discussed
a workshop.
and try and get public feedback on what we've discussed, and if there are going to be some minor changes, I'm assuming that Sally's not going to make substantive changes to the intent of what we're trying to do.
No, my belief, through correspondence with Sally, is that essentially she's gonna clean up.
Right.
The legalese.
So we can still get public feedback on the intent of the
Content.
changes, the content and the substance. And if there are, and we have to have another hearing anyhow by law, so,
Mhm.
the final wording, the final results could be reviewed at that.
But I thought a little bit about it, and depending, we're a little open-ended on it. I was gonna also discuss with Jim,
Yeah.
and while we're talking, I thought maybe we would just advertise for each week, and if we need to cancel, we can cancel, but at least I don't know.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
would be a
that's,
shame if.
I think, yeah, if we have no control over the feedback from the town attorney, then we might have to do that. I think it's kind of bad policy.
And I just, honestly, I don't know, but I'd rather.
Yeah.
And I'll have to check and see if that's even feasible.
Yeah, but, okay. So, anything else we need to cover? We've got some minutes that we need to get into.
I have one thing that, not to talk about, but just to raise the idea for future discussion. Because we're gonna be getting new members,
Yeah.
I think we should put together some formal orientation and mentorship so that we can bring people up
Yeah.
to speed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we'll have to schedule dates and do it as a public, because we'll have
It'll be
a
a public
quorum.
meeting.
It'll be a public
Right.
meeting, because we'll have.
Maybe there's something on MMA that I can.
So,
Nell and I
yeah,
went to a class that the MMA had that was a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, I went to it. I think we all.
You went to
Yeah,
that also?
yeah.
But they
I-
only offer it a couple times a
Yeah,
year.
but maybe there's some documentation that would help too.
they have a handbook.
Yeah,
that would
something
be
like
useful.
that.
And I have a copy of the most
Yeah.
recent one.
Okay.
I have
So-
one too. I don't know, well, mine's
Right.
3 years old. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've changed it since then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
they updated it.
But yeah, I think we should definitely have a workshop meeting to
something-
just walk
We
through,
can make copies.
kind of orientation and procedures, and I think that was an excellent idea.
It
Thank
is.
you
It's-
for-
I know that I
Thinking of it.
looked for that when I started and
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah, and given
Like I was floundering
that we're
for a
gonna
while.
have 2 or 3 people coming on at once.
And one of them is going to be a regular member.
Right away.
And so
Yeah.
it's going to be pretty much thrown to the wolves right away.
Yeah.
Well, we
And I'm
can work
thinking-
with 4 people. You can work with 4 people and keep 3 alternates and until somebody's up to speed, as long as you could do that.
Yeah,
However.
that's one of the things we probably need to think about.
Yeah.
I think by, we could have 4 permanent members, 3 alternates, and sort of rotate who gets to come on as the voting member for any given meeting, until, somebody feels, really ready to make the commitment to be a full member. So, we can do that. And kind of on that education thing, there was an email back earlier this summer about Jensen, Beer Gardner, and Henry was
Yeah.
going to have
I don't know anything else about it, but that's something else I can ask Jim about to see
I actually
where we're
have a
at.
date on my calendar, but I didn't keep the information about it.
I don't know that
I don't
was
remember the date.
set in stone. I think the idea was trying to find out when people would be most comfortable. Because it was also Board of Appeals members. And
right. Because it would be good if we could, find out when that is. If we could have our new members on board before that.
Before
have them
that
attend,
date.
I think that would be useful.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because they could get something that probably none of you ever had.
Yeah.
Actual legal counsel to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll pose the question on Monday.
Yeah. So. Okay, so minutes. So the July 3rd meeting, was Mike Tomaselli at that meeting? He's not listed as either present or absent at that
Who's that?
meeting.
Mike.
Mike,
Oh.
for the July 3rd.
He is
He was there
mentioned
because
in
he's
here.
mentioned him there,
he
yes.
talked
Okay.
about it,
Yes,
so his
he
name
was.
needs to be added.
So we should probably put him up
Yeah.
here. So just a question, since there's only one person in this room now who was at that meeting.
That's you.
I make a motion that the minutes be accepted.
Do we want
They
to
can't
table
vote
it?
on it. Yeah.
No, I'll probably table it till next week when,
Yeah, yeah.
next time Michael is here too, then.
And
two of us-
it wasn't actually only one person who was present at that meeting, only one board member who was present at that
Yeah.
meeting. So, yeah, so you want to table that. So you made a motion, someone second?
I'll second that.
You can't second.
I'll
it.
second
You're right, why not?
Can't do both.
Okay. So moved and seconded, all those in favor of tabling the minutes from July 3rd?
I abstained.
Okay, but it's still passed.
Okay.
So the July 17th meeting minutes, any corrections or comments on those minutes?
Page 6, about halfway down under application review, the second line, it's a concrete pad, not a concrete paved, just a little typo. Where it says application review,
Yeah.
the last
Yeah.
word on the second line.
Oh,
Yep.
right, right.
Okay.
I didn't see anything.
Any other corrections to the minutes?
No.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Accept the
second.
minutes.
All those in favor? Okay, the minutes are approved.
I just wanted to ask Dave if you've been drafting your letter to the register.
Not yet, I wanna see what,
You want to see what it looks like?
Looks like first.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do
That-
too.
That makes
I
sense.
support the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, good. Great.
We'll take a look at it next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to deal with tonight? Anyone? Last chance. Motion to adjourn from someone?
I'll second.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
You'll second?
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
I thought you were making the motion.